What's up, guys, and welcome to RGR. My name is Renegade, and as always, if you have any recommendations for any ways to improve this channel or the rating system, or if you have any game recommendations, let me know in the comments. Now, let's get into it. Today, I will be reviewing and rating. Alright, today is Expedition 33, and big talks right now, possible Game of the Year winner. This game's weird, it's kind of split. There's a lot of people that are, greatest game will be talked about for the next 30 years, will be game of the year. Then there's people that have never played it, didn't like it, was bored with it, or and don't even know other people that have played it. It's pretty crazy the divide with this game. And I'm kind of in the middle, played it, beat it, and I will give it is a cinematic masterpiece. But if I just wanted cinematics and a story, I could watch a movie. These are video games. It's about all of it, complete package. It can't just be a great story. It's got to be, fun gameplay. There's way more that goes into it than just being a great story. And this is amazing story, and we'll get into that here in just a second. But you need more. You can't just have the story. So let's get into the ratings here. So first we have gameplay. Now, this is where the game falters for me and a lot of people. I've never been a big turn-based guy, but this game, it does it pretty solid. I like being able to defend yourself. You can parry and you can dodge, which is very nice for turn-based games. You just sit there and, take the damage. But this game allows you some defense, but it gets so repetitive. Yeah, the boss fights and, the special elite enemies are fun to fight. But it's the minions that you fighting the same ones over and over again. I found myself running in minions and killing them in one move because, I'm just using the same move. Boom. Kill them. And then running the next one again. And by the end of the game, I was just waiting on it to be over. The story was still great. I was still enjoying the story, but the gameplay was just so repetitive. And that is where I could see people getting bored with it, is that aspect. Now, I'm not just like a turn-based hater. I like Baldur's Gate turn-based because, there's environmental strategy involved. And if they had some of that here, I think it would help a lot. I don't know how it would really incorporate into this game. But that's what worked for me with Baldur's Gate is moving around the environment. This game doesn't have that. You're sitting there, sitting still, and it's just basically hitting the same moves over and over again. But yeah, so the gameplay for me gets a 6 out of 10. Now, multiplayer co-op, there is none, so not going to give a rating for that. And story, this is where this game shines. And for sure, I think it should win best narrative, best narrative of the year by far. This game's story is amazing. You follow Gustav, Mael, Ciel, and Luna on this journey on the Expedition 33. Now, every year, the paintress paints a new number on the monolith, and that age dies, and it goes down every year. This one's 33. So, everyone, I believe that was 34 at the beginning of the game died, and now Expedition 33, they go out to try to solve this mystery. And it is a great story. It's an amazing time. And it was a cinematic masterpiece, is what I can call it. It is a cinematic masterpiece. And the story, for all those reasons, gets a 10 out of 10. And replayability, not really replayability. It's a linear story game. So no score for replayability. Monetary value, so this game was $45, I believe, and it took me about, I think, 35 hours to beat. So that came out to $1.28 per hour for me, which I think it's a great value. For the story you get alone, it's a pretty solid value. And not coming out as a full release like most games these days, full price release, so it's only $45. I think it's an amazing value. I gave monetary value an 8 out of 10. Fun. like I said, by the end of this game, I was getting bored. It was more about watching the movie than playing the game. I wanted to see how the story ended, but the gameplay was not the greatest for me. I started just trying to avoid enemies at the end of the game just because I didn't want to have to go through the repetitive cycle of, oh, kill these little minions, blah, blah, over and over again. So, fun, I gave a 6 out of 10. Now, that brings my overall rating to a 7.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this game, and the story brought the rating up quite a bit. Gameplay and the fun weren't all there for me. But I know some people are gonna absolutely hate this review, and some people are gonna be like, "Yeah, finally somebody else gets it." I don't know. It was not my cup of tea. Some people, it's up for game of the year. Some people, this is a 10 out of 10 game for them, and it's just not that for me. I'm sorry. But thank you for sticking with me all this way, and let me know in the comments if there's anything I could do to make this channel better, the rating system better, and let me know if there's any games you'd like me to play. Thank you. I'll catch you in the next one.